from Ireland. Good to see everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in on this beautiful, happy Saturday. So we'll have to flip back and forth quite a bit here a little bit. First, so we're going to be on it. Be on the buttons, as they say. Here we go.
With our new equipment, the headphones kind of soft. It's cranked all the way, so it's just...
Okay, all right. There we go. Cool, cool. Let me fix you guys a little bit. I'm a little bit low down here. So here we go. Ready, ready, ready. Maybe that'll be it. I don't know. We'll see if that's a little better. Because there, had to do a little adjustment for you guys real quick there. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on. We'll have more on in a minute. We got about another minute we go live. And Terry's going to come on as with me from Ireland and share what's the newest. And there's a lot of news that's been going on right now with all the mortgage stuff and everything. So that's kind of like holy cows and horse buggies. So yeah, all kinds of good stuff there.
930 WFMD.
So here we go, here we go.
For Frederick and surrounding counties. As we head into the day, mostly sunny with a high near 83.
Yeah, you guys can 2-301-694-9363. Yeah, 301-694-9363. You guys can text any question you want. Producer will get it and get it to us and all that, because I can't see from here what you guys are saying up there and all that good stuff like that. So we're not that good yet. Unless you want, you can sneak up there at some point and just see the comments. You want to leave a comment up there? Frank can do that. Here we go. Crank it up.
About the regional real estate market with tips for buyers and sellers. Your hosts, RE/MAX Results, Derek Weaver, and Presidential Bank Mortgage.
Hey folks, welcome back to your Frederick Real Estate Update. I am Darren here with RE/MAX Results, bringing you over 20 years experience in the Maryland and PA region. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. It's beautiful out there, and happy Father's Day to all of us fathers. This is the one time where we get to grab the clicker, sit back, get a steak made for us, all that fun stuff like that. Just kidding. Telling the kids, serve us, give us some good stuff, you know, buy us a new car. Who knows what you could get as a father these days, you know what I mean? Alrighty, so welcome back. I just want to tell everybody, all of our new listeners, thanks so much for tuning in. I am on my personal Facebook Live every week right now. You guys can submit questions. 301-694-9363. So 301-694-9363. You can also call in. We're open. Lines are open. And also you can text in. Our producer will get that as well. You can do that on your phone. But if you're listening on my YouTube or my Facebook channel and all that, here you can definitely type in anything and we will catch up and we will check that out. We'll see it come over. So all the past programs and things is on the WFMD.com in the drop down under your Frederick Real Estate Update. We have over 300 programs. Today is program, I believe, number 310. So, all right. I also have with me, not sitting next to me, the wingman from Presidential Bank Mortgage, Mr. Terry Kernan. He is at an undisclosed location. He's going to tell us where he's coming from today and tuning in. So, Terry, are you there? Sure can. All right, tell everybody where you're coming in from.
The loudest.
Good deal. All right. Well, thanks for being with us here this morning and let everybody kind of know what is happening in the mortgage world and the update. What's the biggest news? What's happening?
The biggest news of the week was the Thursday, and that is my son, our son, Mary Sue and my son Terry, and his wife Sheila had their second child. So welcome to Molly Keegan Kernan. came in at 6 pounds and 13 ounces. So a big shout out to Sheila and Terry, and that's the big news in my life this week. And it was tough being in Ireland while she was born, but as far as the mortgage world, the biggest thing that happened was the CPI came out on Tuesday, the Consumer Price Index, and that's the #1 leading thing that we look at in order to determine what inflation is doing. So they were expecting a 0.4% increase, and that's basically what they got. So it hit the expectation. So the second thing that happened on Wednesday was the Feds met.
I am keeping the mic off.
And it was a much anticipated
Let me know
meeting,
when you want to go back on.
But basically, Chairman Powell did not raise interest rates, but he did not commit to raising interest rates again. What he did commit to is committing to the fact that he's going to wait and see. It's going to be a meeting-by-meeting decision. So what we were kind of hoping for didn't really happen, and that was Chairman Powell saying, hey, we're going to put the brakes on here. Things are looking better. And so what that's going to do, Darren, is that's going to keep, my belief is that's going to keep interest rates above 6% for the remainder of the year. Now, is that the end of the world? No. We're used to 6%. We're used to 6.5%. And we've actually been used to 7 and 7.25% over the last couple of months. But the feel is that rates are going to kind of stay steady. And what we're looking for is stability in the market, stability in the rates. So I don't think that they're going to go down below 6% this calendar year. But I think it's going to happen next year in the presidential election year. So stay tuned on the rates. But the one thing that I talked about 3 weeks ago with all the volatility is when we were in studio and I said, if I went under contract, I would float my loan and not do anything until the 17th of June. Don't even look at rates, see what's going to happen. And that was actually a pretty good call on my part, that the rates have come down a little bit. They've settled down a little bit, getting a little bit of stability. So my advice in the future is let's just keep a close eye on rates now, because any little thing could send it one direction or the other.
All right, that makes good sense. That makes good sense. All right, I'm going to get into the numbers here, Terry. We're going to get into the actives here, 284. So before I do, that's good news. That's what we've been saying. Somebody had actually asked me, Darren, what's the probability of the rates coming down? I said, well, if you listen to our program, Terry's been calling it, and he's pretty darn accurate, and we're going to start to see those things trickle down. The biggest question I've had buyers is say, well, I don't want to purchase until the things settle down even more and rates get down to like closer to 5% or 5.5%. When do we think that's going to happen? And I said, I really, no one is a crystal ball. And I said, the bottom line is if we can get down to, below 6.5 or 6.25, which it looks like that could potentially very well happen, that's going to be a lot better than where we were just at recently by quite a bit. And I said, you need to talk to Terry, because he can run the numbers and show you what's the difference now once it comes down a little bit more, what that will look like. And we have charts for that and things like that. And so that's what's really, really positive in that regard and such like that. So, all right, numbers real quick. Total actives, 284. We came up a little bit in the inventory, not as much as we need. That was another big thing someone had asked me this last week. Again, they said, Darren, we're so tired of getting outbid with homes. It's one of my guys and some of buyers and things like that. And they said, what is a balanced market again? And there again, I always go back to our radio program. If you go back in our programs, but it's good to repeat, because the amount of homes that are being built and the housing and all that, we really need about 800 to 1,000 resale homes, not new builds. That's a class of its own. That's its own thing. But once we get up to about 800 to 1,000 resale homes in the area, that's when it's no longer a complete seller's market. That's when it's not a buyer's market. That's when it's pretty evened out. That's when we start to get into about a 40, 50, 60-day average time on the market for homes to sell. And that's when, for the first time in how long, that buyers have a selection. They say, wow, we can go look at 4 or 5, 10 homes maybe at the most. We never want to go over that much, because that gets confusing, and that's a whole different program. But the average buyer looks at about 4 to 6 homes on an average, and even less more than today than ever, not so much because of inventory, but because there's so much more relevant information. As agents, we're doing 3D tours. We have more photographs. There's more verbiage we can stick in the MLS, whereas before it was capped at like 200 characters, and now it's almost unlimited. So when we look at all the data and how much more is put out there that we're able to now do for the consumer, which is great, especially with video tours and drones and all that stuff, it is almost like you're walking through the house in real time. It's like you're already doing the showing the minute you click on the internet. And so therefore, a lot of buyers are able to eliminate homes very, very quickly, even versus like, say, 5 years ago, okay? So therefore, the average buyer is only looking at maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 homes. So once we get this greater amount of inventory, the bigger thing that happens, Terry, is that buyers no longer are in the position like I'm showing homes today. And it's like, okay, we see a house. You've got, it's like 2005, 6, and 2003, 4, 5, where you literally have 30 seconds to think about this, put an offer in almost, unless we have a deadline date, which is not today, but it's in a day or two, which we do see at times. But the bottom line is you don't have the luxury today to almost think overnight on it practically. Whereas in a normal balanced market, yeah, you got a day or two. You may be able to ask for inspections or closing costs or negotiate this or that or whatever. Whereas in the market, in the time frame, and what we're experiencing in real time today, it's not quite like that. Because today on the resales, 156. Now, Terry, this is good news. Last week we were in the 140s. Now we're in the upper, I can almost say this is crazy, we're in the upper 150s as far as the amount of resale homes on the market. Days on the market is 33. It's gone up from 29 to 33. There could be a couple factors that deal with that, but as vacations start, as we get deeper into the summer months, there's no doubt about it, we are going to see buyer demand slow down for a period of time in that regard. The average median price, $560,000 for a single family home, and that's the resales. So Terry, do you have any comments? Give me some comments on all that data points.
I think seeing the listings go up, the homes available going up, I think that's huge. I haven't seen much. I guess the bottom line, or what I want to say is that number needs to get higher. We talked about having Kenny McLean on. I think we're going to have him on next week. Kenny's a local appraiser guru that knows the market, and that'll be interesting. But the pushback that I'm getting now with rates is, why would I put my house on the market today when if I buy a new house, I'm going to have an interest rate of 6 3/4, and the interest rate that I'm going to be cashing out is at 3% or less, or 3 1/4. So that number, even though it's gone up, it's only gone up by like 10 houses, and we're still way, way, way below where we should be to have anything close to a normal market. So going back to the people that say, is now a good time, or I don't want to buy right now, actually now is not a bad time to buy, because you know that we're going to be refinancing you probably in the next 18 months when the rates come down. But when the rates do come down, Darren, we're going to see more people putting their house on the market, but the demand to buy homes is going to increase tremendously.
Yeah, that's no doubt. That's go ahead.
Well, if you can afford to buy now, but you're not comfortable with the payment, set aside enough money, like gap money, like this payment's $200 out of our price range. Set aside $2,400, 12 months, 24 months. Set aside a little nest egg just to cover your gap of where your comfort level is, okay? So when you're looking to buy a house, put less money down, get a little higher payment, and then, within 2 years, you'll be refinancing most likely, based on everything that I'm seeing and reading and believing. So that's kind of what I recommend to people is, if you go a little above your comfort zone, that's fine. Just have a little nest egg to handle that.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. So yeah, I have, speaking of buying, like I have a couple now, and it came across the one house, he's VA, and we talked about this on past programs, this is really good to be able to revisit just for 1 second, is this whole thing about assuming the rate. They called me up and they said, hey, Darren, the one house that says it has a VA, and we're interested in possibly, and it said we could assume the rate, and it was 2.75. And they said, hey, how does that really work? And I said, ooh, that's a fun one. Let me help you with that. So this is the kind of thing that if somebody is going to do a VA, if you're going to purchase with a VA loan, which you can do, no problem, if with qualifying and everything, is the assumable rate thing can be a very, very big enticing thing right now for sellers. If you're a seller and you have a VA loan, you want to talk to your lender and the mortgage holder and find out how it all works, or talk to Terry as well. And we're going to be able to help you out to be able to figure out what is the best plan and how that all works with being able to advertise and put your home on the market at the premium of being able to attract more buyers today than ever before, simply because you have a benefit that somebody else out there without this assumable VA loan, they don't have that leverage and capability. So that's really important. All right, so new construction, 129, coming soon, Terry, 45. That is going down simply because of the depth of what we're getting into the summertime months now, and we'll probably see that stay stable instead of going up to like 70 or 75. We wanted to go over 100 and at some point. So pending under contract, 536 with new, 166 of those, 370 resale homes at 15 days average time of the market are those pending under contracts. Sold in the last 30 days, 359, which is, like I said, it's about half of where we're normally at this time of the year by far. It runs with all the other numbers. Days on market, 13. And the sold to list price, Terry, actually went up. And that's because if rates come down just a tiny bit or whatever, we see that delay in the last 30 days. And all of a sudden, we see those buyers that are saying, hey, we're willing to spend and get a little bit more with these pricing wars and bids to be able to get something that we really, really want. And that was at 101.7. So any comments on all the numbers?
I expected is pretty much in line. I think that number of 101.7 is going to hang above 100 for the next several months until probably November. And I think we're going to see a little bit of a lull like we did last November, where people kind of took time off and reconsidered their options.
All righty, good stuff. All right, I got two quick articles, Terry, that I came across this week that are really, really good before I get into the main subject here about us as agents and how we help out. Owning a home grows your wealth over time. Did you know that a person that rents versus ownership of a home, the ownership of a home, their net worth, Terry, is 8 to 10 times higher than if you rent? That is a very significant number. The reason why I thought this would be good to revisit is because the article goes in and it talks about the different states over the course of 32 years, and since the first quarter of 1991. So just going back since 1991, Terry, over the last 32 years in the entire United States, if you bought a house 32 years ago, how much more in percentage do you think it's higher in value and it's appreciated over the course of 32 years? All right. This is something we could open up the phone lines with, but we're going to have something next week, $100 gift card with Kenny McLean. And anybody that calls in, we're going to give away a $100 gift card next week. But Terry, what do you think that percentage appreciation number has been in 32 years? Ready, set, go.
230%.
Wow, man, you are close. 230%. We're going to talk about some states of what that is. But for the United States as a whole, it's 290% is how your money's been returned, which is an average of 9% per year. So if you bought a house in 1991, almost anywhere in the United States for the most part, but we'll look at the specific states real quick because it's fun. You have a chance of earning 9% having real estate. 9% a year over year. So let's talk about Maryland. We're going to get into Maryland here since we live in Maryland, right? All right, Terry, you had said 230%. You're not going to believe this. The chart says for the state of Maryland, 231% if you live in Maryland. So somebody might say right away, why are we below the national average of 290? Why is Maryland less? I thought Maryland's one of the hottest places to live in the whole state. Well, it's the whole state, but 230%, that's pretty darn good. Now, you may be on the eastern shore of Maryland or in western Maryland, and values haven't gone up as much per year. But if you live probably, Terry, where you do in Montgomery County or Prince George's or down in Anne Arundel County, I can promise you it's probably closer to that 290%, maybe even a little higher. Who knows? So that's the Maryland number. Now, I'm going to ask you the question, what state has the highest percentage in the whole United States? Out of all 50 states, which one has the highest appreciation since the last 32 years? Terry, what state you think that is?
Or possibly New York. I think it's one of the two big guys.
Wow. Okay, California or New York? As I look at California, California is 295%. That would not be the state that has the highest appreciation over the course of time. But the one that has New York, nope. New York was 248. So those are those. So what we're going to do is, Terry, anybody that calls into our program today, 301-694-9363. What is it? 301-694-9262? 301-694-9363. That's it. 301-694-9363. I got members. Anybody that calls in, Terry, I'm going to give away a $25 gift card to like Starbucks or something like that. That's the highest state. They got to get the state right. And I'm going to give everybody a clue out there. I love to go hiking in this state, okay? The state with the lowest appreciation over 32 years, Terry, what state do you think has the lowest? Nope, we're not picking on nobody.
Or South Dakotas.
Okay. All right, South Dakota was at 360%. Whoever's moved to South Dakota, you're making bank. North Dakota was actually 298%. And your Arkansas was 233. So, one of my best friends, roommate from college, I love him to death. The state that he lives in is the one that has the lowest, and the number is 169%. If you've lived there for 32 years, your home is only going up 169%. That state would be the state of where Lincoln is. Can you tell me what state that is, everybody? Terry, which is it? Lincoln State. Chicago, the Windy City. Oh, no, sorry. Mr. Lincoln and the Windy City, it is where? Illinois. If you live in Illinois, you are last in appreciation of buying real estate. And now, if you live in Chicago, you may be doing good in certain places or other places and around the state. But as the state as a whole, Terry, I was really surprised. I kind of thought it was almost going to be like Mississippi or Tennessee or where I went to college, down there. And 196 for Mississippi. And Alabama was 240, and Tennessee is 344. My goodness. That's because Nashville and all those places in Memphis are on fire. All right, so that's some of the fun stuff. I thought that'd be kind of cool to go over about appreciation in different states. If you want to know your state, I have the records. You can call in if you're listening. By the way, Terry, we do get a lot of people from out of state that listen in, so they'll appreciate this. But I'm not going to unleash the one state that has the highest in the United States. It's either going to be today or possibly on next week's program, so you got to tune in. All right, when buying and selling a home, it helps the economy. How much? How much does it really make an impact on our community? I'm going to go through this really, really fast, Terry. If you buy an existing home sale, a home sale that's existing, a resale, $57,800 is what gets poured back into the economy when you purchase a home. Somebody might say, how in the world is that? This comes through agents, title companies, local government, you guys as mortgages, repair companies that do repair work, staging, Lowe's, Home Depot, hardware stores, anything, lighting stores, anything that even comes close to contributing into the preparation and the full sale from start to finish, and then after, is what gets the benefit of all of that money and the impact in that. So all the employees, all the employers, everybody that's associated with anything that touches and comes close to housing, all the way down to landscaping companies and all of it. But also taxes, because the recordation and transfer taxes, these go towards your schools, the infrastructure, you name it. There are so many things that is touched by a real estate transaction. So new home builds, it's actually $120,500. $120,000 gets poured back into the economy in whenever that kind of stuff happens. So that is huge, huge, huge. All right. So Terry, we have about 5 minutes left. I'm going to get right on into what the subject I'm going to deal with here is, hey, Mr. Real Estate Agent, so why do I need you to help me out? Why are you important? What's your role in all this? I mean, like, you know, do you just have letters behind your names and drive nice cars and sit around and watch YouTube video a whole day long and take pictures of houses and show them? Nope, there is a lot more to it than this. If anybody is listening out there that has ever had a transaction where you have not used a real estate agent like myself, a professional, with a new sale or an existing sale, we want to hear from you coming up here. Not next week because we got our special guest on, but I definitely want to hear from you in 2 weeks. I want you to be thinking about what is it that you experienced, what were the good, bad, and the ugly, and if somebody didn't have an agent involved. I know that there's people out there I've had that have said to me, holy cow, you're not going to believe my story. If I could have met you, I didn't realize how everything really works. And all of a sudden, I found myself in trouble and I found out why you're so valuable. So the question we get is, this is the thing I think about. If you ever got a speeding ticket, would you ever hire an attorney to represent you in court? Some people are like, nah, it's not a big deal. No big deal. But if you were getting brain surgery or you were getting your leg like fixed on because you broke it or something major was going on in your life, how much would you want to have a doctor or a lawyer or somebody involved at that point? I would probably suspect, Terry, for most people, pretty high. So here's the thing how this works. I'm going to talk about buyer agency. The seller side is a whole thing. But on the buy side, especially with brand new builds, I just helped a family build a brand new home, and there are so many details. They have no idea how much was involved in all of that. So when it comes to a resale home, the first thing that everybody wants to say is, well, how much do you charge? Like, how much does it cost me to have a real estate agent help me buy a home? Well, that depends on a couple different levels. If it's being sold with another brokerage and they're offering a commission or compensation, as we would say, and all that stuff like that, as a buyer, typically we get whatever's offered. That's typically, but the negotiation between the buyer agent and the brokerage and all that is different. It can be different in every situation and scenario, and that is important to know. So whether it's a for sale by owner or what have you like that, that's when it comes to that. But at the end of the day, we basically have a very small, just kind of a transactional fee that covers all the ins and outs and the details of the paperwork and things like that. That is very customary in most part. Some don't have any. Some have them as high as almost maybe, I don't know, $800. Who knows? But that all in all are just basic fees to cover the transactional things like that. So at the end of the day, it's extremely low in most cases. Now, if there's no compensation being, that, like I said, it's all negotiable and it's offered typically through a seller and such like that. So that shouldn't stop you at all, because even if there was a time or even if there was a situation where I've had situations where someone was buying the neighbor's house, they wanted representation, and they said to me, Darren, how much does it cost to be able to have you represent me through the transaction, doing the legal, the paperwork, the contracts, the inspections? Everything is normal. The only thing that didn't happen was the house never went active on the market with a listing broker. That was the only difference. And we were able to work out a fee that was relative to everything else. So, all right, so getting past all of that, here's the biggest thing. The biggest purchase of your life is what's getting ready to happen. And most people would realize that not having a professional by your side can be extremely risky, considering there are over 300 steps that we take as an agent to stay on track, to be able to represent our buyers, to make sure nothing goes south and nothing is really, really bad. So another biggest things, we have 1 minute left, Harry, and the benefits of having one is this: having somebody who studies the market every day, inside and out. That is my job. 8 to 10 hours a day, 40, 50, sometimes 60 hours a week, knowing the pulse of the market and all those things like that. So some would say, well, there's so much information and data out there on my own. I can find a house myself and all that. Not all the time. We have tools. We have things to be able to help locate, find a hope, pinpoint things. And next time, 2 weeks from now, we're going to go into all the greater details of the really important things that you need to make paying attention to. And that's why having me as a professional helps you out. So, hope you guys have a great weekend. Happy selling and buying, and especially happy Father's Day. I thank God every day for my 6 kids. Take care.
This be mortgage? If so,
All right. Good seeing everybody. Take care. Terry, we'll see you when you get back from Ireland.